when my dad handed me that thick blue folder and said, "I used your college fund to pay off your sister's mortgage." I swear the room went silent in a way that felt physical, like the air thickened and pressed against my skin. I remember staring at him, wondering if I'd heard it wrong, if maybe he said something else, anything else, because the idea that he would take the money I'd been relying on for years, the money I'd planned my whole future around, and give it to my sister, without even telling me, felt like a betrayal so sharp it didn't even hurt at first. It was numbness, this strange buzzing shock. And the worst part? He looked at me like he expected gratitude. Like he really thought I would smile and nod and say, "That's fine. So tell me, was I wrong for what I did after that?" Because honestly, I still don't know if I handled it the right way, or if I just snapped after being pushed too far. To understand how everything exploded, I need to go back to the beginning. My family wasn't perfect, but I never imagined they'd do something like this to me. Growing up, I was the responsible one, the quiet kid, the one who never caused trouble. My older sister Emma was the wild one, bouncing from job to job, relationship to relationship, constantly needing help, constantly needing someone to bail her out or pick up the pieces. My parents never said it outright, but it was clear she was their favorite. They doted on her, excused everything she did, defended her even when she messed up in ways that affected everyone else. But I tried not to care. I had my own plans, my own ambitions. I wanted to go to college for engineering, and from the time I was 13, my dad started telling me he was putting money away for me. He'd always say, "Don't worry, I've got your back. When the time comes, you'll be covered." And I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my dad. By the time I was in high school, I was already preparing, taking advanced classes, joining clubs, doing all the things I thought would make me competitive. I applied for scholarships, but I knew the college fund would be the backbone of it all. My dad talked about it constantly, how proud he was, how he couldn't wait to see me succeed, how he wanted me to have a better life than he did. Meanwhile, Emma was on her third apartment eviction and had just broken up with a guy who keyed her, car on his way out of her life. I don't say that to be cruel, just to paint the picture. My parents rushed to comfort her, of course. They always did. I remember the day everything shifted. Emma announced she was pregnant. She wasn't married. She wasn't financially stable. She didn't even know if she'd keep her job. But my parents reacted like she'd just told them she'd won the lottery. They hugged her, cried, celebrated, planned baby showers. Meanwhile, I sat in the corner thinking, this is going to change everything for me. And I was right. Suddenly, every conversation in the house revolved around her. Her needs, her stress, her future. I still loved my sister, don't get me wrong, but I felt invisible. After the baby was born, my nephew Noah, who I absolutely adored, the financial strain on the family hit hard. Emma's rent went up. Her car broke down. She fell behind on bills. My parents kept covering things, bit by bit, always saying it was temporary. But I knew it wasn't, because Emma never got better at handling her life. She just got better at leaning on people. Meanwhile, I got accepted into one of my dream colleges. Not Ivy League level, but still a really good engineering program. I remember running into the living room with the acceptance email pulled up on my phone, heart pounding with excitement. My mom hugged me. My dad congratulated me. But there was a strange heaviness in his expression, something I ignored at the time. I told myself it was stress. I had no idea it was guilt. Months passed, and I kept bringing up tuition deadlines, financial aid forms, enrollment paperwork. My dad always said, "We'll handle it soon, then don't. Worry, then we'll talk about it this weekend." There was always a delay, always an excuse. And then finally one evening he said, "We need to have a family meeting." My stomach dropped before he even spoke. He handed me the blue folder, thick and heavy, like placing a stone in my hands. Inside was paperwork, bank statements, loan documents, receipts, proof. Proof that the college fund I had spent my entire teenage years believing in was gone. My dad stood there, shifting uncomfortably, while my mom avoided my eyes. Emma wasn't even there. She didn't even know this conversation was happening. "I used your college fund to pay off your sister's mortgage," my dad said, his voice steady but his eyes pleading. She needed stability for the baby. She was drowning. This was the right thing to do. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because my brain couldn't process the absurdity. "You did what?" I asked. "Without telling me? Without asking?" My mom tried to intervene, saying, "We thought you'd understand. You're so responsible. You always find a way. And Emma, I don't care, I snapped, the words sharp. You took my future to fix her past mistakes. My dad tried to justify it, talking about family sacrifices, about Emma being a single mother, about how Noah deserved a stable home. But all I heard was, your dreams don't matter as much as hers. I stormed out that night. I didn't come home for 2 days. I stayed with a friend, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with my parents, every promise my dad ever made. It all felt poisoned now. How could they look me in the eye and tell me, for years, that they were saving for me, when the whole time they were willing to take it away at the first sign of trouble? When I finally went home, I told them I wasn't forgiving them. Not right away. Maybe not ever. And that I wasn't going to college that semester because I needed to figure out how to rebuild everything they'd destroyed. The next months were a blur. I worked 2 jobs, applied for emergency scholarships, looked into community college. I was angry all the time, but I pushed through it. I wasn't going to let them ruin me. But the resentment grew, especially because Emma seemed oblivious to all of it. She'd visit the house smiling, showing off baby pictures, talking about how grateful she was that things had finally worked out for her. It made me sick. And then one day, I overheard her talking to my mom in the kitchen. She said, honestly, I don't know why he's being so dramatic. It's just money. He can always take out loans. It's not like he has a kid to worry about. That was the moment something snapped in me. Not rage, resolve. I decided if my family wasn't going to look out for me, I'd look out for myself. And I was done being the quiet, obedient one. Which brings me to the decision I made, the one people are always divided about when I tell this story. And before I continue, this is where I want you watching to tell me. What would you have done if you were me? Seriously, pause the video and comment. Your parents drain your college fund to pay off your sibling's mortgage, and that sibling doesn't even appreciate it. Would you forgive them? Cut them off? Try to repair the relationship? Because at that point I had to make a choice. And I want to know what you would have done in my shoes before. I tell you how far I actually went. All right, here's what happened next. I gathered every document, every email, every screenshot of conversations between me and my dad about the college fund, promises he made, details he'd given me, the amounts he told me were saved. I compiled everything. And then I went to a lawyer, a real one, not for a lawsuit, at least not yet. I just wanted to understand my rights. And when the lawyer told me I legally had a case for misappropriation of funds, especially since the money had been explicitly promised to me, something inside me lit up. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about being treated like I mattered for once. But I didn't immediately go nuclear. I gave them one chance. I sat my parents down, put the folder on the table and said, you have 1 week to pay back at least part of the fund, or I'm taking legal action. My dad's face drained of color. My mom started crying. They said they didn't have the money anymore. They begged. They said family shouldn't threaten each other. They said I was destroying the relationship. I said they had already destroyed it the moment they took my future and handed it to someone else. When Emma found out, she blew up my phone. She called me selfish, cruel, heartless. She said, I have a baby. You're really going to ruin our family over this? And that was the wrong thing to say. Because I replied, you ruined it the moment. You took something that wasn't yours and didn't even care. The week passed. Nothing changed. So I went forward with the legal process. When they were served with the initial notice, all hell broke loose. My parents accused me of betrayal. My mom said she couldn't recognize me anymore. My dad said he was just trying to help my sister, and that I was punishing him for being a good father. Emma called me screaming, then blocked me. Extended family got involved. I became the villain in everyone's eyes. But you know what? I slept better than I had in months. Because for once I wasn't the one sacrificing. For once I chose myself. The legal case didn't go all the way to court. It didn't need to. The pressure alone forced my parents into a corner. They ended up taking out a loan to pay me back a significant portion of what they owed. Not all of it, but enough for me to enroll in school part-time and continue working until I could cover the rest. They hated me for it. Or maybe they hated what it made them realize about themselves. The aftermath was messy. Emma refused to talk to me for almost a year. My parents became distant, cold, formal. Holidays were awkward. Family gatherings felt like walking into a room filled with explosives. But over time, things softened. Not healed, just softened. They eventually apologized, not perfectly, but enough for me to consider opening the door again. And when I graduated, late but proud, they came to the ceremony. They cried. My dad hugged me and whispered, I'm sorry. And for the first time, I believed he meant it. I'm not going to pretend everything went back to normal. It didn't. But I learned something important. Boundaries aren't acts of cruelty. Sometimes, choosing yourself is the only sane option when your family refuses to choose you. So if you were on my side, like this video, if you think I went too far, tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to hear what you think. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for listening to this mess of a story. I'll see you all in the next one.